only be opened at the district tally center, but not at the sub-county center. The sub-county center, I repeat, is merely a collection point where the materials in that sub-county which were deployed or dispatched every polling station would be gathered for onward transmission to the district tally center. At the district or city tally center, the results will be delivered to the office of the district or city returning officer, who will tally and declare the results with directly elected member of parliament and for constituencies in that district or city, and the results for the woman member of parliament for that district or city. As for the presidential elections results, these will be and are being transmitted to the National Tally Center here where we are now at Luoa, Wakiso district. We want you to note that the constituency for presidential candidates is the entire country. Accordingly, the Electoral Commission will tally all results from the districts or cities of Uganda at this center, and finally declare the elected candidate for president within 48 hours from closure of polls. Once again, this is the venue that was gazetted in accordance with the law for purposes of hosting the National Tally Center for the presidential elections. The tallying of results will start as soon as they become available from today, Thursday, 15th January 2026, and conclude on 17th January 2026 before 5 p.m. In order to ensure transparency in the tallying process, access to the tally center has been granted to duly accredited media personnel, national and international observers, agents of political parties, agents of candidates, and other invited guests. The Commission also wishes to inform the nation that the Electoral Commission has suspended voting for the directly elected Member of Parliament for Kibanda North County constituency in Kiryandongo District and Ibanda Municipality in Ibanda District due to a mismatch in the particulars of the candidates on the ballot papers in those constituencies. The Commission will announce a new polling date for the elections in those areas. The respective candidates, the voters and supporters, and the general public are hereby requested to be calm or to remain calm. In appreciation, the 2026 general elections represent another significant milestone in our democratic journey. We wish to extend our appreciation to all stakeholders in the electoral process, including the electorate, the government of Uganda, which has fully funded this electoral process, political parties, civil society organizations, the media, development partners, security agencies, observers, religious and cultural leaders, the media in particular, for their invaluable support and contribution to these activities. Once again, the Commission would like to congratulate all Ugandans upon the successful conduct of these elections, and more so for the exemplary conduct you have exhibited despite the challenges that were encountered earlier on in the day. We urge you to do the same in the upcoming elections for local government. We want to appeal to all the candidates, their supporters and agents, and the general public to maintain peace and public order during the counting, the tallying, and declaration processes, and beyond the election period. Remember, Uganda shall and will always be, even after the elections. With these few words, I wish to declare that this tally center is officially opened for purposes of tallying the presidential results. I say this for God and my country. Thank you very much. Now we shall reconvene here at 10:30 p.m. when we expect to update the country on the results that have streamed in or that we have received so far, and we shall be doing this at regular intervals at the periods or the times to be announced in due course. For now, see you 10:30 p.m. Thank you so much. I don't have a pen. Do I have to say it or not? You may, as we talk now.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Well, good evening. Once again, we welcome you to the ballot 2026. Of course, it's been a very long day, but here we are. We now want to have we want to have the general analysis of how the situation was. Of course, all over. There have been a lot of issues. Some have been addressed by the Electoral Commission, of course, but some are still hung in balance. And of course, there is a lot that might have happened where you have not been. Probably your concentration was only at your polling station where you voted from, but a lot has happened elsewhere where you were not, and of course that is what we want to digest in the minutes we are here with the ballot 2026 wrap-up. We are wrapping up, of course, that day and how it was. Edwin Austin Mukalas is my name. With us is Comrade Daniel Rugarama. He was here with us yesterday and still he's here with us. Daniel, it's a pleasure having you once again with us here this evening.
A very good evening to our dear esteemed viewers, and I welcome you back from the voting exercise. I'm looking forward to this wrap-up, and regards of course to my dear sister Farida here, and you, our host. It is always a pleasure coming to Family TV.
Thank you so much. And of course, Farida, Lule, it's a pleasure having you as well with us from Ushahidi Foundation. And Farida is an elections observer, so she has been in the field most of the time. So she will give us exactly the points that we need to really get, where we were not, where she was, and of course her team. Farida, it's a pleasure having you this evening.
Thank you so much. Our dear viewers, thank you for participating in today's election. It has really been a challenge, but we have made it. Final as a country, we've managed to make it. And that is really a good step in the great election, that we've managed to have concluded our exercise that we have been waiting for the past 5 years, and we have been preparing for it for the past 5 years. So we have managed to actually cast the vote 15th Thursday of January.
At last. 15th is here, the long-waited day, the long-anticipated day. Of course, people had a lot of expectations, and alongside the expectations, there was a lot of tension, and I believe that at least security has tried to calm down the situation. Of course, we've not yet registered any issues of violence at the polling station. Even the smaller elements of violence that we're trying to manifest were being handled by the security, and we are grateful to the security. But Daniel, just to give us your general observation from the polling station you went to, but also those other stations that you were able to look at as you were observing what was happening throughout the day.
It is very important to observe that against the background of the perceived intimidation via the social media, especially this message that was coming from some sections of the community about vote,
Kalonde,
protect,
Kakume,
Kalonde, Kakume, Kabanje. And media plus some sections of security had made it such a big deal that actually there is going to be something very serious, probably worse than what happened during the last general election cycle, where we had some youth being shot and property destroyed, some participants who used to put on T-shirts of different political shades, being harassed and undressed. We all remember that. So there was a thinking that something similar may happen. Now, so far, I'm happy, and I heard you talk about it. I'm happy to observe, because I've been doing a lot of observing on my screen. My sister Farida will tell us what she was observing with her team physically on the ground. And what I have observed on the screen and the telephone contacts I was getting from so many parts of the country, including some colleagues outside Uganda on the African continent, who in one way or another are interested in our politics here. The kind of information I was getting from my friends, from media houses, was very encouraging. The only problem, of course, there is no, the Baganda say, teri mukoro ogutavera ko musibufu.
Omukoro tegula ko musibufu.
So even when we are having such a fantastic, well-intentioned, purposeful voting day, early in the morning, these machines, a good percentage of them refused to work. We were here yesterday, we were talking about the same. So I remember I called them there, was like, you see, what I was telling the audience, some of these things can refuse. These are machines after all. When the president was talking after the voting, he said that, you know, for him, of course, with his background of a gorilla man, he always thinks of sabotage. Sabotage. And he may not be wrong, by the way. Some of these things, people sabotage government programs to discredit us internally here and outside. So in his address to media, you people, he was telling you that, look, these machines, in order for you to be able to open this machine, you must have been pre-recorded there, say that the machine recognizes you. Not everybody can open it. Now that what happened, these are his words, I believe you are watching, that what happened is that some, and probably Farida will also help us as an observer, some of the people who were supposed to do the work of taking the information to the Electoral Commission. Now, Electoral Commission being able to integrate people's biodata, those ones responsible for the machines didn't reach in time. And therefore, the machines could not open because the biodata of those who were to open the machines had not actually reached the Electoral Commission, and yet the machines were at different polling stations. Now you can imagine. That is something that must not happen. You see, let me tell you, Comrade Mukaraz and our esteemed viewers, some of these things, we may come here, such a mighty television studio, and then we pretend because we want to be correct. I don't want to be seen as if you have said something that is not acceptable to some sections of the people. The truth of the matter is, if what the president was explaining, I expect that after this exercise, some heads should roll. How do you, what possible explanation can you give that for you who was supposed to integrate people's biodata, you didn't do it, well knowing that the voting day is not going to change, you distributed machines to the various polling stations, people came lined up, Mugisha Muntu, General Mugisha Muntu, by 10 in at Chitunga, Church of Uganda. He had not voted.
Even your MP has said the same. He was at the polling station at 6:30. By 10.
Now, what does that show? The delay of, and remember where the electoral materials sleep. Where the electoral materials sleep, and the time we were knowing that by 7 people are supposed to be in a line. Some of these things must not happen again. And they happen simply because people think they can get away with it. So this intransigency, this belief that I can do this and nothing is going to happen to me must stop. And when people realize that actually there are repercussions for their actions, they hold back. So my thinking is that I'm glad, even when we had that hitch, the chairman, I was also a bit uncomfortable with the chairman coming up to make a statement that now we can go manual. No, that is the message that should have been disseminated a long time ago, so that the people are aware that should there be anything, because anything can happen. You see, we are not, that's why we put everything in the hands of God. We say, whatever we are going to do, God will put everything in your hands. Therefore, because we are not sure, even scientifically, even if you say, I have pre-tested this and that, sabotage can be there. What I expected, with all due respect to our beloved chairman, Electoral Commission, and the Justice of Court of Appeal, Justice Vyawakama, is that information should have been disseminated long time ago to his team on the ground, and also the same information given to the public that yes, we have got this, but as a backup, should anything happen for us to be able to start on time, the people are encouraged, because our biggest tool we are using in this election is the National Register. Now, if the National Register is available and the machines for whatever reasons have not worked, and the people are lined up and they have got what to identify them as those names appearing in the National Register, go ahead and vote. That should have happened. You don't need to come to the TV and do what he did. But anyway, he did it. Whatever happened is that at least we are glad. The only thing probably which Farida is going to tell us is as to whether the time lost 4 hours. 4 hours. Did we compensate that? What
by an extension of an hour?
They extended by 1 hour.
No, you see, 1 hour. 4 hours lost 1 hour. For me, really, that is, at the moment, Comrade Mukaras, at the moment, this is what I have observed. I am glad that we have not had the Kabanje. Probably people are, God forbid, they are not planning the Kabanja. They have all seen what has happened, and that they are comfortable, at least averagely, well over 70%, those who turned up to vote. I am also encouraged because I have been told that an increased number of people have turned up to vote. I see the city here is empty, meaning people have gone to their respective polling stations to vote. Of course, we are still in the mood. We are trying to get information. I'm told that the first batch of results is coming out in about maybe in 1 hour's time from now. Probably that is going to inform our way, how we look at things in terms of the votes cast, those ones that have probably been spoiled so far. It is because there was a danger. You remember in the past, Comrade Mukaras, we had an increased percentage of the ballot papers that were getting spoiled. Meaning, yes, meaning therefore, that my sister Farida, by then she hadn't come into this goal. You do vote education, don't you? Meaning that your people, those who came before you, they were not doing a good job. Because that percentage was at a very high level.
Well, thank you so much, Comrade Daniel. Farida, Electoral Commission took you through the technicalities of this machine. And the assurance was that nothing is going to happen. There are statutory instruments in place that it was mandatory to use this machine for voting, and it was criminal not to use this machine. as an observer and where you've been, what is your observation, especially in the polling stations you've been to? How many, in percentage, have used the machines and how many have not?
In all the polling stations that I visited, none used the machine. At the start, they actually tried, but the machines failed in all the polling stations that we visited, even where I deployed the observers, because we had 62 observers that were accredited. But in all the polling stations that we deployed, the polling material, the BVVK machine totally failed to start. We do not know whether the technology failed the commission, but there is something that I do not, I'm actually in support of Dr. Daniel. Really, we have prepared for this election for 5 years and you fail to deliver the materials on time. Well,
they were actually dispatched last week.
Exactly, well knowing that we are supposed to start polling by 7. Do you know the number of people who were frustrated by that fracas and went back? And because they felt that because they were sure, the commissioner gave the assurance that we are only going to use the BBVK machine. So when they saw that, at first when they opened, the machine was not there. The machines were not there. And they were asking where are the machines. And then the presiding officers also said we cannot start without the machines. And then the voters were like, we cannot start because they said we have to use the machines. So everything came to a standstill because of the machines. So, and I am just asking myself that which plan do they have for failure of delivering these materials, and when did it start to deliver partial materials to the polling station? Because the polling station, I think he has been there, and if you know that I have 220 polling stations. What do I need at that polling station? I need a torch. I need a register. You make sure that each and every polling station has all it is required in one place. I have been to by-elections and I see these returning officers piling up this polling station. This is what the polling station needs. So in a general election, someone wants to mess up an election, a general election, by delivering the materials late. The heads should roll. I think so. Because I think that conversation will drag on even after the count, the declaration of results. But I want to thank, on a good note, I want to thank security. Security did a very fantastic job. I did not see for the first time, because I've been questioning, when will the Uganda police be given the opportunity to manage and to show us that they can actually deliver. So this is the first election where we have had police manage this election. And at all polling stations, it was rare to find the army in full swing. You would only see police, maybe in big numbers, but at least it was police. You'd seen, at first I saw some army officers, but they could come in and they actually left, they could not sting around. So I think this time around police was able to, and yet we did not expect that. We were expecting to see the military guys at polling stations. We were expecting to see the army moving around with their mighty tankers, members on the streets of Kampala, but they shocked us. I think they shocked us because the pulling of strings from the supporters and also the words that everyone was saying, okay, don't go, after voting, go home. Unfortunately, when I was also observing that, I saw that the security were minding their business and they were not even chasing these people. So I was like, what was the fuss all along? That everyone was just debating, that was just actually choosing each other, was, but they were actually maybe 20 meters away, but some guys stayed back. And security did not do anything. Actually, at some polling station in Chifuma, the voters came with a tape measure and they measured where the 20 meters end, and they said, let us put in an allowance of 5. So they measured up to 25,
and planted a tree there and said, now security, these are 25 meters from the polling station. Don't cross this tree. We shall stand behind the tree, you stay there.
And they actually looked on. They did not even bother.
Yeah.
So, I think they left they had a very, very, very good strategy for this cause. And I think they surprised the country. And I'm very sure they are busy sleeping because they made it. And that is a plus to security. I wish they could always behave like that and manage, because sometimes these Ugandans just want to provoke security or bring tension for no good reason. But also we could not underestimate the issue that the 20-meter rule was actually mishandled. We cannot actually underestimate, and we cannot overtake what the law says. If the law says 20 meters, what the commission has to do is to make sure that you implement what the law says, unless we have made an amendment to the law. But if we have the laws in place, the commission can only implement an election relying on the existing laws, and you cannot actually bring up something that supersedes the existing law. So I think that conversation was just taking us off the conversation, the big main issue. So I think, but we have learned something from this election, and we know that now some of these laws can be tested. And if they are tested, what actually comes out after we have those conversations. But I saw the president. In fact, there's something good that I actually thanked the president when the security, one of his bodyguards, was giving him another pen to use. He actually rejected it and insisted on using the pen that the Electoral Commission had provided. And that is the pen that the rest of the voters who are at that polling station used to tick. So I think we should all respect the electoral materials, and we should all know that when it is an election, it is the Electoral Commission in charge. So you cannot come up with if the president had actually taken that extra pen, maybe even other people would actually say, okay, whenever I'm going for election, let me go with my pen. Since I saw the president actually utilizing another pen, so I think it becomes difficult for the Electoral Commission to actually harmonize those positions and also manage the process. I think the turn-up in the first place was really fantastic. I saw everyone very excited because I was in the field by 5 a.m. I was in the field to see what is happening before the materials arrive, what is the environment, what the environment looked like before the voters arrive. As people prepared to come for polling, I wanted to see what happens before everyone turns out. And I was very happy that the environment was so peaceful and so comfortable for people to come out and vote. And I was so super excited when I saw the big numbers coming up by 6:30. People had started coming to polling stations, and it was unfortunate. By 6:30, the presiding officers, some of them were there, some were not there, and the polling materials were also not at those places by 6:30. Well knowing that we will have election happening at 7 a.m. So it was upset on that note. But I thank the voters who turned up in big numbers. Unfortunately, when I was trying to make my analysis of the numbers that I saw in the morning, I saw by around 3:34 that of the 600 voters at a polling station, only 200 had turned out to vote. So it is actually giving me hard time. I'm waiting for the Electoral Commission to announce, and then I see the voter turnout, the percentage. Because if we have 600 voters on a polling station, where are the 400? If we only 250 turned out to vote, was it the VVK machine that actually disappointed some few and then they went back? No, but it cannot frustrate the other 400. So what happened to the 400? Are they outside the country? So maybe we can actually bring back the issue of Norbert Mao, when he actually the Honorable Mao, when he actually failed to table the amendment to allow the people in diaspora to vote, because we know that a good number of Ugandans are actually out and they might be counting for the 400, just giving an example of one polling station, they might be counting for that. And if it is that, why would we go ahead to print the 21.6 million ballot papers, and yet we know that at least a good number of voters were closed out because they are outside the country, and we have not made provision for them to participate in the election. And some of them are actually in prison, and we know that we have locked them out, but we still go ahead to print for them ballot papers, which is actually quite expensive. That's why you see that the figures for managing the election are always high. So we want to see avenues of how do we reduce our budget if we know that we have closed out these people. So during the cleaning, can we also include this group that we know that this such and such a person actually crossed and he's actually stays in the US and doesn't have any plans of coming back to the country. So we should not print for that person a ballot paper. Maybe Dr. Daniel will add a voice whether we need to make an amendment if we have failed to make a provision for those people.
Actually, thank you so much, Farida. It is at that very point that I want to ask Comrade Daniel, because we see an increase in the number of voters as per the statistics of the Electoral Commission from 18,103,603 as per 2021 to 21,681,481 voters. We also see an increase in the polling stations from 34,684 as of 2021 to 50,739. But was this reflecting, especially in the places you are able to look through? Because Farida has said, a polling station has 700, but only 100 turn up for voting. So should we really say that there was need to increase the number of polling stations if even those that were in place are not utilized fully?
First of all, the increase of polling stations was informed by distance. In the wisdom of the Electoral Commission, and I've always said, I'll repeat it here, that the Electoral Commission is one institution that recruits very able people, especially at the level of election officers, the assistant returning officers, whom they call district registrars. And so yeah, you can't really fault them on the ability to appreciate some of these things and dispense some good administrative tactics. So I'm sure that one of the reasons as to why, because in the past we used to have a polling station that would go up to 1,500 plus voters. Now that was a problem in itself. So they said no. Some of these, you can imagine by the time you bring together on a polling station 1,600 voters, some of them may be, yes, from the same village, but coming from a little bit at a distance. So they said, no, we can divide, and we have as many. That's why we had that increased number from 34 to 50 something polling stations throughout the country. So the thinking was that, which in my opinion was very okay. Now, even to have the, say, 600 voters, out of the registered 600 voters on that particular polling station, to have a mere 200, leaving a balance of 400. Now, if that was even spread throughout the country, that's something to worry about. Because this is what we were talking about just a few minutes ago. The problem of Uganda's electoral democracy, one of the problems that has dogged the developing economies is electoral fatigue. And electoral fatigue is informed by many things. Either people don't see as to why they should come out to vote, that is a possibility, or they are like the election is poorly organized. They find no reason as to why they should burden themselves further by coming to a poorly organized election. Or, and you find a situation where, like my sister was saying, there is no big deal in having our people in diaspora. Find them. We know we have people in the UK, we have people in America, we have people in United Arab Emirates. These young girls and boys who go to for Cheyo in the Middle East, you make an organization, you make a plan. Majority of those places we have got our embassies. There is people go and vote from there. That is no problem. And I don't know which law says that somebody on remand, for instance, in one of our prisons here, is not supposed to vote. You see, the problem is that we don't want to be burdened. Well, we don't want to be burdened, and probably there could be an intelligence report that all those people in Rosera and other various prisons don't support the system, so there is no reason as to why we should actually extend this right for them to be able to vote. I would imagine, for instance, this is me now, that people who are in, there are many people, by the way, who are in prison. For you people who, there are some of our people out there who think that everybody who is in prison is a criminal, is a bad boy, is a bad girl, he doesn't deserve anything, he should be shunned. My friend, just when it has not happened to you, when you will wake up one morning and it is dark at your door, then you will come and we have a conversation. So therefore, some of these things, I believe we can improve the cleaning of the register, which probably Farida was referring to, whereby he says, but you see, you waste a lot of money printing the extra 400 ballot papers when you would have known, and you don't go into that expense. That's a bit tricky. Of course, I hear her. She's heavily engrossed in finances, and she knows how to cut costs. But you see, as a country, there are certain things where in providing them, you must meet that extra cost even if you go into a loss. Because the bigger picture is not about how much money you have saved from an election, although saving it is equally important. But the bigger picture is, have you, by not, even the Bible is very clear, by the way. What does it say? That I would rather leave the 99, I go and look for one lost sheep. Now, why should that be? So therefore, in the wisdom of the Electoral Commission, they do not want to leave even that one. They would want as much as humanly possible to bring that one to join the 99, so that the entire 100, but things just refuse in between. My thinking finally on that really is that, look, the cleaning up, the getting our act together is not something that we can do in one day. And you see, even to argue that, you see, we have been doing all sorts of amendments. Yes, I remember at one time, by the way, Chairman Norbert Mao was to table the electoral reforms. And he was here, then he kept dildaring with them. But you see, there are many things which happen in those offices that probably we are not privy to. Even when you attempt to make sure that you understand what is happening there are many things that don't work out simply because they just cannot work out at that material time. Either for political or economic or whatever reasons, but they cannot work out at that time. If probably Chairman Robert Moore had brought those proposed electoral reforms, probably some of these problems we are talking about now would not be talking about them. Because you see, our neighbors do certain things, and this is not rocket science. To have people in diaspora voting, the imagination is that whoever is in diaspora does not like the government probably, and some of these people who think for them they think better than others, they say, no, you don't extend that benefit to them. And it's wrong, it's just not correct. However, I want to conclude this by looking at what the president was talking about. Immediately after the voting, the president, who is also a candidate, who probably, and this is what I think our big auntie, the former IGG, Betty Namsangu Olive Kamia, used to talk about. Our pieces of legislation and the constitution do empower the president to have all that power that he has. Because people who come up and say, you see, the president Museveni now is using a lot of state resources, even when he's a candidate, you change that. You go to the law and make necessary adjustments, maybe to say if he declares his intentions to stand as a president, then we shall make it a point that he relinquishes power to the vice president or whoever you will say in that constitutional amendment of yours. But as long as you have not said it, and the constitution is as it is, the president is not committing any offense. That must be understood. That's how your constitution is. That's how all the other pieces of legislation are, as far as the power of the sitting president is the incumbent, even when he is vying for the same office. That virtue is not covered by any other person but himself, and that's what the law says. So if you want to change it, and then you will have peace. But look, what the president, this time I hope he was talking as a president, of course, was saying, he's like, you see, there is where we are coming from. In these elections that we are having now, even by bringing these biometric machines, we are trying to improve what we have been handling, how the past has been. We are trying to get better. We are saying at one time that somebody would come and he would vote multiple times. So by bringing these electronic machines which capture faces and other identical things, it is for purposes that it should be one man, one vote. Now, one man means a woman, so when we live here, don't harass me. It also means a woman. So he said that one thing we wanted is true. Two, that there was a habit. People would vote, but their things would be put in a black box without counting. Then they would get everything from there. You would vote and just go away. Forget about this one, Kakube, Kakume, Kabanje, Itisia, go away. Then they would get all these boxes and take them to a place like Mbarara, assuming those in Western Uganda. Then they would count from there where you are not. But this time he says, you see, the difference is that we can all be there. I hope they were there, including those ones who wanted to be in 20 meters distance. And we count. We announce from there before you go that on this polling station, Mzee wetu Kofira afunye bwebuti, Bobu Waini afunye bwebuti, my friend Kasvante Robert afunye bwebuti, nabarara. This is what they have gotten. So that if you had effective representation, all your agents were on different polling stations, you can, within less than, even before the Electoral Commission announces, for you would be, at least you would be within the range. So therefore, for me, I look at where we are coming from. I recognize the fact that it is not yet Uhuru, we are not yet where we want to be. My biggest worry would be the commitment. Do we have the commitment as a country to get better? One, of course, depending on your intentions, and if you are not somebody who likes to tell the truth, you would say, we are even getting worse. In my opinion, we are getting better.
Okay.
There is work to do. We are not yet done, but we are getting better.
Okay.
It is unfortunate, of course, that when we try to get better, sometimes certain things want to pull you back to expose you as somebody who is not prepared, like these biometric machines and how they have behaved. But going forward, I'm glad that we have not had incidences of chaos. I am very happy that, and I predict that there is not going to be none. And at the same time that the participants are going to accept the outcome of this election, that there is nothing like 100% perfection in an election. There will always be 1, 2, 3 things. But those 1, 2, 3 things are not so substantial that using just the standard of a reasonable man, one can say, these things that have been done, I'm not going to accept. That you are able to say, yes, we have carried out this exercise, we have had these challenges, but I can assure you that what the exercise has produced is something I, as a participant at the level of a candidate or a voter or whatever it is, or an observer, I'm satisfied. This is something that any other person would have accepted.
Well, thank you so much, Daniel. We are taking a short commercial break, but when we return, we are going to come back with Farid. And of course, we shall join other comrades like Ivan, Richard, and of course, Odong Tho, to also give us their observations from wherever they, of course, Ivan is in eastern Uganda, that is Mbale. Of course, Baguma is in Barara, and Odong Tho is in West Nile. And of course, we shall listen to them. But when we come back, Farida, you'll suggest to us what needs to be done, because there are also other issues that came out that I'll share shortly after the break. Stay with us.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back from that break. This is the ballot 2026, and of course we are wrapping up the day and how it was out there, and of course pointing out a few things, of course the good and bad of the entire system and how it was, because we still have more days of voting. This is not the last. So we still have more days, but we need to address some of these so that they do not come again when we are voting for the next leaders. Now, Farida, before the break, of course, Comrade Daniel had raised a number of things that should be done to see that at least we polish even what we think is progress, but still with some dirt. And of course, in your submission as an observer, there are things that came out. Okay, this is partly that we got from some of the people we talked to out there in the field, where someone comes to the polling station, they have a voter location slip, but the polling station that the voter location slip indicates is different from the actual polling station they're supposed to vote from. Or probably someone has the voter location slip, but their name is not in the Electoral Commission presiding officers voter register, but in the agent's register the name is there. And so people are asking themselves, how does that even happen? It is the same document that these people are supposed to be having. How comes some document, one document doesn't have your name, the other documents have the names? And what should be done to see that we sort out some of those irregularities?
Unfortunately, by the time we went into polling, some political parties had raised issues with the register and the irregularities in the register. There were multiple appearances. So I think maybe the commission will come out, because where I observed, I didn't see those issues. But if they happened, I think those are some of the issues that we are going to raise to the commission. But for me to raise those issues, I need to have evidence of, for example, a voter location slip. Then I'll be comparing to the voters register that was put on the website, and to actually show, to verify whether that vote, the polling station that is on your list, on your voter location slip, is the same polling station on the national voters register. So if it shows, because when you enter your details, when you log in, it brings the entire information about it. So when we confirm that, we'll be able to talk about it and actually comment on it. Otherwise, we cannot just comment on something that we have not seen. Actually, when we were having our training, the DPC came and said, if you have not seen something with your own eyes, please don't comment on it, because you cannot defend it. And I think he had a point in whatever he said, that if you have not seen with your own eyes, do not comment on it, and do not, because you cannot defend it. And that is a very strong statement to the observers. So I think, but going forward, we will have to engage the commission if we gather evidence, because this is one thing to have document a scenario and then follow it up. To when you follow the evidence, the incident, and you get facts to back it up, then you are able to actually raise it to the commission in your report, and then they can actually have a feedback on it, why it happened. Before we went into the election, I think one of the members of the National Unity Platform gave me a scenario where one person was appearing on the same register, and it appeared twice. He appeared on the same register twice. So he was actually highlighting that indeed the register that they have given us has these other issues, meaning that it was not properly cleaned. So, but I'm not so sure whether that is the very register that was given to them from the commission. So I need to go back and verify whether the register he gave me or the issues that he actually gave me are the very issues that this is the very register that the commission actually gave to the political party. So these things of commenting, and also you really actually have to have real concrete evidence for you to raise an issue with the commission, and then they'll take you up. For example, there was an election in Kayunga, and we were raising a few issues, but we had collected evidence, so the commission was able to respond because the evidence was on the table.
Meanwhile, we've had 2 constituencies where voting was stopped because of still irregularities. For example, in Uganda municipality, where a candidate was nominated with a megaphone as the symbol, and on the ballot paper, it is a ball.
In Chivanda,
and in
Chivanda, I think it was the issue of one of the candidates not
appearing on the ballot paper.
Yeah, the Electoral Commission is empowered in such circumstances to suspend.
Yeah, but I mean, like Farida, you said that we've prepared for 5 years, and the nomination for MPs was in October, early October, and we've had time to do this. What do we need to do as advice to see that we do not have to get back into such things again, where the Electoral Commission is now supposed to encourage more money in printing mobile papers for those constituencies?
And also organizing an election.
And organizing
it's
another
very quite expensive because you have to pay those presiding officers. There is a lot for you to actually, and if they suspended that election, I know they have to wait for them to announce the results of the presidential elections for them to be able to conduct another election in that constituency.
And Farida, if I may volunteer information, it is not only expensive on the part of government. The participants, the candidates themselves, it is very expensive. Any additional day for a candidate means money. We are in transactional politics. People are spending money like no man's business. You may actually be having a lead as a candidate. You extend it for a day or 2 days. And the guy is going to go and bring sacks of money and will overtake you. So it is expensive on all the angles that you may wish to look at. Then probably the other thing is maybe we shouldn't be too hard to Electoral Commission. There is a case which you described. That one, I think it boils down to the wisdom of the people and the briefing they got who are manning a polling station. Because where did you pick your allocation?
At the parish.
You see? That was still Electoral Commission handling. 2, what about these other registers? How did you get into these other registers? You, who is now not on the national register now. So some of these things, of course, they have got to do a lot of balancing, but sometimes I think it boils down to somebody who is manning the polling station. What is the briefing you got from your superiors, and what is the judgment that you make at the end of the day? And maybe finally, it is the issue of this that look, okay, if for instance the exercise has been postponed, why I'm saying we shouldn't be had so much hard on the Electoral Commission, although some of these mistakes are really careless mistakes, and the officer responsible must pay for them, is even in UNEP, you have seen, you print out questions, you pre-test it. Do you know how many arms a paper before it is distributed to the schools to be done at the level of PRE, UCE or USCE? It goes through so many eyes, but somehow somebody comes and says, look at question number 10. Question number 10, dear students, it doesn't read like that. It should read like this. See how come? At this time now, and you find that somebody is now on page, he has been writing is on page number 3 on the same question which you are now correcting, and it is wrong. So I'm not saying that is correct, but some of these things happen. But we have, at the end of the day, to look out for serious cadres to be deployed, who are qualified to be deployed, and they do the correct work. We don't have room for excuses on serious national issues.
Thank you so much. Now we want to join in with comrades that are online that we are going to talk to virtually. And of course, we want to talk to Ivan Masawi. Ivan is in Mbale, and we want him to give us an overview of how the polling was that side of Mbale. Ivan, a good evening to you, comrade.
Good evening to you, sir.
Thank you so much for whatever you've done today, and we really commend your efforts.
Thank you very much. The results from Bali here, just like any part of Uganda, we had an election that was full of delays, shortages in terms of BDK, and also some stunted actions of violence happened in the neighboring Sironko, where a team attacked one of the presidential candidates. But he is under control now. He's receiving medication. But basically, the voter turnout has been very low. Most of the polling stations in Bali City, the voter turnout was below 30% of the registered voters.
What would you attribute this low voter turnout to? Yet, Electoral Commission has put in a lot of money to ensure that people come and vote for their leaders.
I think money is being put on procurement of election materials and organizing, but not enough money is being put on civic trainings, like about voter education. Seeing that first-time voters, who are the young people, turn up to vote. And this is also a call from most of maybe the candidates, especially those from us who are not in government, that the biggest percentage again of the voters who have not voted are again young people. So it means the influence of taking off social media and internet may also have contributed to demoralizing and demobilizing young people from participating in voting. But basically, the activity has attracted a very low turnout for both parliamentary and presidential. So this can be attributed to the mechanism, the tension, the growing loss of confidence in elections also matters. Because when people see civil society being arrested, certain groups of people in society, security coming up to manage the election of the Electoral Commission, it also contributes people lacking confidence in the credibility of the election.
Maybe the other thing, Ivan, to the tally centers you've been to, how is the environment there and the atmosphere?
Like I've told you, the environment has been very calm because of low voter turnout. So around the Mbale City where I am at this time, tallying is going on. The voter environment is still very silent, but the activity has closed well. Although one bad incident where our presidential candidate for the Forum for Democratic Change was attacked by a certain team that went to his district to destabilize the election. But apart from that incident, in other parts that have been following closely, the election has been very peaceful.
So moving forward, Ivan, what do you think should be done to ensure that the reasons as to why we've had some of the irregularities and the low voter turnout do not happen in the forthcoming elections?
Victory has so much connectedness with preparation. Electoral Commission to be victorious in electoral and mandate becomes back to how best they prepare. You can't even prepare that on the final day of voting you'll begin at 10 as a result of poor preparation. you give excuses that the machines had to be fed with data from the operators. All those are a result of poor preparation. So, an election takes 5 years to be organized. Electoral Commission cannot go to sleep and wake up in that accident as if it is not aware of why it exists. It should continuously keep preparing itself to see that we build the confidence of citizens back to seeing the value of participating in certain elections. Okay. Elections are not only because of a constitutional mandate of giving leaders, but of also building patriotism in the population.
Okay. Well, Ivan, thank you so much for that overview. And we want to wish you a blessed evening. And also we pray for the presidential candidate to get well soon, so that by the time they announce the results, he's very fine. That was Ivan giving us an overview from what was happening in Mbale. Now, Comrade Daniel, you've just heard Ivan share about these irregularities, where a team has even to go and come against a presidential candidate. And you know, what does this portray, especially for to our country in the democracy vehicle that we are in?
Without, let me do the devil's advocate, and I hope I will not be taken for something else. The truth of the matter is that elections are high-level political altercations. We are at a point where in elections, you even wonder as to whether some people went to school. They really behave like the worst villager in the remotest part of Uganda. You have seen where educated people are fighting from the nomination rooms. Very educated people, PhDs, doctors, what have you, bachelor holders, they're just fighting. You have seen men beat women just because of, in an election exercise. Now, so therefore, by saying that, I do not mean that it was right, therefore, for a group of people to go and attack Comrade Nathan Nanda Ramafabi. I believe that is the person that Ivan was talking about. But we must understand some of the actions that take place as a consequence of the nature of the activity. The elections, which is a political activity, is one highly charged political activity that sometimes people do things which actually are unreasonable and they are not expected of them. Now, going forward, that's where we need a lot of voter education. That's where we need a lot of civic education. Because a highly civically empowered population is very difficult. Although it also happens, look, Trump was campaigning, somebody attempted to shoot him twice. Yeah. It gets even worse. Somebody attempted to shoot him twice. You look at how he was describing his colleague during the debate, the presidential debate. You know, you would even wonder, these are the billionaires they talk about in the world. These are the products of one of the so-called global universities, leading universities, but that's how they would behave, just because of the nature of the politics that we talk about. So therefore, in a manner of speaking, I think politics being what it is, we need to prepare better. And this is what Ivan ended with. Electoral Commission, this time around, cannot be forgiven. And I think the President also talked about carrying out investigation. Cannot be forgiven for an exercise that they have been preparing for all this time, where they made budgets and the budgets were fulfilled, made supplementary budgets and they were given the money. For them to wake up and tell us that averagely 40% of the biometric machines didn't function simply because the data didn't go there before, for input, for them to be able to open I mean, that is, you know, there are words which this family team shall restrain ourselves. But you can't explain that. I mean, people will not understand. Unless the Electoral Commission comes up with a very convincing explanation, whereby people will say, okay, I think that I can understand. But so far, the information we have is not only weak, it is silly, and it cannot be accepted.
Well, Comrade Daniel, I see, because the Electoral Commission promised us that they'll be giving us the first results at 10:30, and before I release the two of you, and then of course we shall continue with more updates. Farida, give us your closing remarks as we wind up this conversation.
I think this election has got its own issues, and like he has said, because you know, I don't say that a chairperson would actually go himself and implement. Like Farida, for me, if I know that if I've given you work, if I give my officer some work to do, and I can see that you don't have the urge, even the mood to do what I want you to do. So at the end of the day, I just go and implement, and by the time you know it, I have my output out there. So, but I am yet to find out, and I'm yet to hear from the returning officers what really happened, what was their dispatch plan. Because you cannot frustrate a person who has organized, who has planned for an election. In fact, you could see the frustration from President Museveni when he had, you know, he could not hold on to that frustration, that he could not even wait to go out and first of all take a cup of tea and then come back. He really wanted to address it there and then. You know, that shows you the extent at which some of us who are attached to the election, that frustration, you know, you cannot actually understand what happened.
The chairperson, if I may give this information, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission in Ghana, when she went, it's the lady, when the other time, when she went, I hope she's still the one, when she delayed by about 3 days, then she was asked by the media and what have you, that why are you delaying this? He says, my friend, I can even take a week, as long as I'm within the law. The nature and the magnitude of what we are cooking is so important that time is not an element that we should consider and prioritize over the outcome of this exercise.
Okay.
So, but in any way, we have managed to have the election conducted, and we are waiting for the commission to announce that maybe there are so many questions that need answers after we announce the results, and the commission should prepare very well for the country to address these issues, and I hope that the issues they convince us, and I hope the answers that they are going to give us will also convince the president, because I think the president was very eager to utilize this machine, this new technology. Even myself, I was super excited that, because I know that the likes of the politicians out there, they always want to frustrate the process by actually not go out to solicit votes, but they want to use money and also pay off some people to actually frustrate and ballot stuff at the end of the day, which paints a bad picture of our elections, and that it is a joke that anyone can do anything with it at any point he feels like. So, but when I saw that the president was in for this, and then the commission also came out and assured the country, I was really happy. I said, at least I wasn't 100% that the machines were going to work. In fact, when we were in one of the morning show with one of their technical persons, I told her that these machines, whether I like it or not, they are not going to work. Okay, they will work at a certain extent, but you can't be 100% sure that they are going to work 100%.
And her response was, they are going to work and you'll be surprised.
She told me, she said,
I remember very well.
Exactly. So I told her that if the technology works, at least the operators will mess it up. Those were my words to her. So I think she remembers what I told her. But we cannot. I pray that this technology because she said that it was developed by Ugandans. And when I was
that's why it's called Nyange.
That's why it is called Nyange. So I was with some of other people when I was making my presentation, and then they were like, no, actually we're presenting to African Union observers. So one of my other colleagues said, no, the technology was actually brought from China. So, you know, you give people a lot of anxiety to actually come up with so many other reasons where this. So it's important for the Commission to always be transparent and come out clearly on some of these things. So, but back to the point.
I may ask, is this technology we have been using any different from what was used in Kenya? What are the fundamental differences?
I think the fundamental difference is that these people, in Kenya, they also don't scan. So for us, we are scanning. With the new technology was supposed to scan and also identify, like whenever, if they scan the ballot, they scan, for example, Farida Rule, and it shows that, yes, I'm in the register. Then they give me a ballot paper. That ballot paper is scanned. So when it is scanned, if I happen to get another ballot paper after the 3, the technology would actually reject. And after counting, when they scan the 3, they scan all the ballot papers. And if they find one which is not actually that did not go through the machine, they know they leave it out. They think that this is now a ballot that has come out from outside this ballot paper, because they assume that all ballot papers that were utilized at that polling station were supposed to come from the machine and they were supposed to be scanned. So meaning they were supposed to be scanned at the end of counting. So I was very prepared for that process. So, and I in my mind, I thought that we are actually going to go up to night, that because the scanning of all the ballot papers first, and then also counting them after. So I was prepared that we will not actually have the results at the Tari Center on time, that will be still counting at night. But fortunately, and maybe good enough, we have not been able to we have not been given that opportunity to test that new technology. But I was really loving that, to see whether it can actually sort the issue of ballot stuffing at polling station. Maybe the Commission should not actually should go ahead and utilize that machine, that technology in the subsequent polling days that are coming forth, like the mayor elections, district LC5, and also the councillors, the special interest groups. I'm actually waiting to see if the Commission disbands the technology because it has failed to work in the presidential elections. So if they want to prove their point, I think they should take it on and utilize that same system for the other subsequent elections that are going to happen. Maybe they would prove that maybe there was something wrong happened to the technology. But to sum it all, I am happy that those that turned up to vote, you actually played a very key, important role in our democracy. Now we know that we are now processing to have a new leader come Saturday afternoon. Thank you so much. Thank
you so much, Farida. Daniel, your closing remarks as I let you people go, and then we continue with the other updates.
Frankly speaking, I think that the electoral democracy in Uganda and Africa as a whole is on a positive trajectory. That we are progressing, although we have got a number of external imperialistic interferences, which sometimes are reflected in the so-called the growing opposition on the African continent. It is sad that majority opposition politics in the African continent, generally speaking, is not organic. It is influenced by the foreigners who have got their own interests. It is even worse, if I may tell you this, it is even worse that we even have governments on the African continent which go through elections, and yet these governments we are having are not organic. Forget about the opposition. They are not organic, that the imperialists created them, funded, and they created them. So therefore, in this democracy of ours, of the African continent, you'll find that we are actually up against so much. We are up against newcomers. We are up against people whose ideological orientation is wanting. We are up against people who want to pilot planes without even attending cockpit lessons. We are really up against so much. But bottom line, this is work in progress. We are all learning, and we cannot just exclude people simply because probably they don't know as much as we do. But we have to learn to accommodate each other. This is our country. And I believe that when we have the sense of accommodating each other, and we know that we don't have any other place to live in, this is our place, then we develop the means of pushing this country in the right direction together.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you so much, Farida. And I want to thank you so much for your time. Of course, and at this point, I will let you go and wish you a blessed night. But of course, to you, our viewer, we are still continuing with our elections update. And like the chairperson of the Electoral Commission had earlier promised us that the first set of results will be announced at 10:30. We want to join John Baptist Ahumuza, our reporter at the National Tally Center in Lubowa, to give us the atmosphere there and what exactly is happening in Lubowa. So we shall be joining in. Of course, JB will be joining in, but of course, at the various district headquarters, Electoral Commission offices, of course, results are being declared, especially for parliamentary seats. JB, over to you. Good evening.
Yes, good evening, Mokalazi.
We would like you to shed for us a picture at the National Tally Center and what exactly is happening right now.
Of course, here at the National Tally Center, everything is getting ready. We can see the officials from the Electoral Commission are preparing to begin announcing the results. Though the time which was agreed upon, which is supposed to be 10:30, is passed, we are still waiting to hear from the person of the Electoral Commission, but he assured us that within a few minutes, the tallying will be beginning here at the Tally Center.
But according at the look of things, are there any candidates or candidates agents that have shown up so far?
I beg your pardon?
At the look of things, at the Tally Center, have you seen any candidate or agents of candidates, presidential candidates that have arrived at a point?
Hello?
Yes, JB, we can hear you.
Yes, I did.
So I was saying that when you look at what is happening, all among the people who are there, have you seen any presidential candidate present? All their agents are present to witness the first declaration?
Apparently, I haven't seen any, though some agents are around, and election observers.
Okay, but according to the atmosphere, in how many minutes do you think the declaration will start?
Apparently, we're not yet sure because we haven't seen yet some results coming in, but the EC person assured us that at exactly 10:30, the results will be at the place. So we are still waiting to hear from him to give us more updates.
Okay. Well, JB, thank you so much for that update, and of course, we shall get back to you shortly, especially when the declaration starts, to give us a breakdown, a deeper breakdown of what will be shared, of course, by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Thank you so much. And of course, as we continue, viewer, we take a short commercial break. And of course, we shall be back with more updates, especially from the different tally centers, and of course, the atmosphere at the different district electoral commission offices.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Empagi.
Bana abajogajoga abakazi
Turn away from sin. You better do so, because sin has the same consequences wherever it is.
The only magic soap that we can ever have in the world is the blood of Jesus. Because the moment I accept Christ, that blood immediately washes it. I love that song that says, Jesus paid it all to him I owe.
Everything good you do, one in the household of faith, blessed you'll become 100-fold. Visit your clergy, visit your preacher, visit your bishop, care for them, stand with them, visit your archbishop, take care of him. All those of the household of faith, when you do that, God will multiply bountifully back to you, because you are honoring God and you are honoring his word.
Prayer is where we get a connection with God through Jesus. Prayer is very important for our unity as believers. But also, as we go through a lot of challenges in this world, the only way to overcome them is to have a time with our God.
Movie Zone.
Raise up those that love you and seek you and trust you. Lord, we need a generation of believers.
Who is Hannah Scott?
I am created by God. He designed me. So I'm not a mistake.
I can see you winning. I can see you winning. Do it, Hannah. Do it, my daughter. Do it, Hannah. Fight!
If you suspect any suspicious thing, report to the police.
Of course, there will always be penalties for non-compliance.
So it's more of a ministry.
It is the duty of police to keep law and order.
Issues at hand.
abantu bwe bafa babeera
When people
balungi.
die, they are good.
Abadde mulungi.
A dead body is always good.
Atukoze bulungi.
He has done us good.
Tazikawo.
He cannot replace
Tewali
it.
atazikawo.
There's no one who is replaceable.
Tewali.
There's no one.
Naye kiyinza okuyamba.
But what can help you?
Kwe kukola omukululo omulungi.
It is to leave a good legacy.
Nti bali kujjukira.
That people will remember you.
Sometimes I share with my students a small story of an animal which normally is regarded to be the wisest, the hare. Once in a meeting of animals chaired by the lion, which was the king of the animals, he said that all those who are in the meeting and are not married should go out. This is for the marrieds. And then the hare put up a hand. I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Yes. What is it? He said, what about some of us who sleep like married people? Should we also go?
And may I say to those of you who are not yet married, determine what kind of family you want to raise. Because the family that you raise, the children that you get, you will either sink them or you will raise them up to be good citizens and good people in the church.
If you read Proverbs 16:1, they tell you that the plans of the heart belong to man, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord.
Because we all need love. As long as we are humans, we need love. Now he says yes, but I'm praying that you will experience the greater love.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
To the country. Over to you, Lord Chair. Thank you.
Distinguished guests and dear citizens who are watching us, wherever you are. These are the first preliminary results of the presidential elections that the Commission has received and ascertained so far. Total number of registered voters, 21,649,067 on the National Voters Register. The total number of polling stations, 50,739. Results, the total number of polling stations from which we have received results at this point in time, 133, representing 0.26% of total polling stations. These are so far the results per presidential candidate. Bulira Frank Kavinga, Party RPP, votes received so far 84, representing 0.36% of the valid votes cast for candidates so far. Kaswante Robert, party NPP, total number of votes 66, representing 0.29% of the valid votes cast for candidates. Excuse me. Kyagulanyi Sentam Robert, Nope, 7,753 votes, representing 33.64% of the valid votes cast for the candidates. Mabirizi Joseph, CP, votes 45, representing 0.20% of the valid votes cast. Mugisha Gregory Muntu Oyera, ANT, 164 votes, representing 0.71% of valid votes cast for candidates. Munyagwa Mubarak Serunga, CMP, 145 votes, representing 0.63% of valid votes cast. Nandala Mafadu James Nathan, FDC, 560 votes, representing 2.43% of valid votes cast. Yoweri Tuhaburwa Kaguta Museveni, NRM, 14,232 votes, representing 61.7% of valid votes cast so far. Total number of valid votes for all the candidates so far is 23,049. Invalid votes so far, 796, representing 3.34% of the total votes cast. Total number of votes altogether, 23,845, representing 0.11% of the total number of registered voters. The spoiled votes are 37. That is the position as of now. Ladies and gentlemen, and all you who are watching us, as I said, that is the first preliminary results the Commission has received so far at this National Tally Center. It's now coming to 11 p.m. The next update will be tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I wish all of you a blessed night. Thank you so much.
Well, Justice Simon Byabakama has just given us the very first bunch of results, presidential results of the 8 candidates. But like we indicated earlier, our reporter John Baptist Ahumuza is at the National Tally Center in Reza, some people call it Reza, others call it Lubowa, but okay, at the EC headquarters in Lubowa. And of course, he is going to break these results down for us, so that in case you realize that the justice was faster, you can know how your candidate is standing currently. JB, we are back to you, Sebo, to break down these results for us as announced by the Justice Simon Byabakama. John Baptist Ahumuza, we are back to you.
According to the first preliminary.
Yes, please.
According to the first preliminary results from the EC chairperson, Justice Simon Byabakama Mugenyi, Uganda has a total of 21,649,067 voters. And 50,739 polling stations. And the results which have been released right now, they are from 133 polling stations, which is a representation of 0.26% of the total polling stations. And according to these results, Bulia Frank is currently standing at 84 votes, which is a representation of 0.36%. Kasivanti of NPP has 66 votes, which is 0.29%. Then Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu of NUP is currently standing at 7,753 votes, which is a 33.64%. Then Mabirizi Yosipi has 45 votes, which is 0.20%. Mugisha Muntu of ANT has 164 votes, which is 0.71%. Munyagwa Mubaraka of CMP has 145 total votes, which is 0.63%. Nandala Mafabi of FDC has 560 votes, which is 2.43%. And lastly, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of the National Resistance Movement is still in a leading position with 14,232 votes, which is 61.7%. And according to the EC chairperson, the total number of valid votes is 23,049. Then the invalid are 796, which is 3.34% of the total. And the total of all is 23,845, which is 0.11%. And lastly, the spoiled votes are 37.
Okay.
According to the EC chairperson, the second batch of results will be announced tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Well, thank you so much, JB. But also, we would like to know, have any presidential candidate appeared at the National Tally Center?
According to my observation, we haven't seen any presidential candidate currently at the Tally Center. But of course, we have people who have represented them, and the national, international observers who are also at the Tally Center to make sure that everything moves on smoothly.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, John Baptist Ahumuza. We shall get back to you tomorrow morning as well, as you give us the next update as announced by the Electoral Commission Chairperson, Justice Simon Byabakama. Thank you so much, JB. And of course, to you, viewer, of course, what I can assure you is that tallying is still continuing at the various Electoral Commission offices in because you remember we have 146 districts as per the Electoral Commission records, and each of these districts has an Electoral Commission office or administrative office, and so that is where now the tallying is, especially for the direct member of parliament and the woman district member of parliament. And so you should not rejoice until the returning officer has declared you a winner. Of course, there are some people already enchanting and celebrating, and I mean, but the last declaration should come from the returning officer, because that is the mandate that they hold. Of course, we shall give you more updates, but we take a break right now, and we hear the word of God in Soul Moment.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enrich